On first down, they hand off to Marlon Mack. Huge hole, 50-yard line. He's at the 40, still going near sideline. He's at the 10. He's at the 5, and he will score. Touchdown, Marlon Mack. Touchdown, INDY. And again, it's picked off. It's Darius Leonard. Leonard with his second INT, and he's streaking down the near sideline. He's at the 40. He's at the 30. He's at the 20. He's going to go. A pick six for the Maniac.
Horseshoe is back, baby. The horseshoe is back.
Welcome back, Colts fans, to another edition of the Bring the Juice podcast. Today we are pre-gaming the Colts versus Bengals. My name is Justin. We got Jacob here with us again. If you did not catch us last week, we are your pre-game go-to show here. Cody and Derek is really kind of giving us the reins here to really talk Colts football the day of the Colts game. They're going to the game today, so it's just us guys. We'll see if they pop in for some questions and comments throughout the show. But once again, it is us for all your game day news. Jacob, how are you doing, man?
Doing great, man. It's cold Sunday here in Indiana, but it's shaping up to be good football weather, and I'm super excited to see the Colts again at home as they get ready to take on the Bengals here. This should be a good one.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, so let's start our show just like we do every week, Jacob. Each week we kind of talk about what jersey we're wearing or what clothing item we are wearing for today's game. And guys, be sure to drop pictures on Facebook and be sure to tag the Colts, the Bring the Juice podcast, so that everybody can see what you're wearing too. So Jacob, I will go ahead and start. Today I am wearing my old school Reggie Wayne jersey. The one time that I did get to wear this jersey, we did win. So I had to go back. I cannot give up on a winning streak here. So let's hope we go 2-0 in this jersey today. Jacob, what do you got today?
Yeah, so last week I wore my Andrew Luck jersey and we lost, and I also wore that jersey in week 1. So that jersey is now retired this season. Yep. I'm not wearing that again. I would have wore Darius Leonard's jersey, but he's not playing today, so don't want to jinx that there. So I went with my brand new Indianapolis Colts military appreciation sweatshirt, and just want to give a quick shout out to all the servicemen and women deployed, active, reserve, veteran, whatever. Just appreciate everything that you guys do each and every day for us to be able to come out here and for Justin and I to do what we do, and for the players to do what they do and have the freedom to do that. So military is near and dear to my heart. Have a lot of family members in that, so just wanted to give everyone a shout out for that today.
That's awesome, man. Here's an old school one. Paul and Stacy Wolf wearing my Gary Brackett jersey.
Oh,
that's an old school jersey right there. I like that. I
wonder if he can still play. Yeah. We need that play at linebacker today.
We need some veteran leadership on the linebacker in school. Here's another one. Old school Brandon Stokely. Let's go.
Oh,
all right, Devin, I got you. I see you there. Jacob, we've got a question right out of the gate today. What are your thoughts on the Colts' performance versus the Browns, and if you think the Colts will be able to catch up with the Titans in the AFC South?
So that's a two-parter here for me. My thoughts on the Browns' performance, it was not good by any means. And what I really like to see, though, is that the defense struggled, I would say, in the first drive, in the first quarter, but were able to rebound and bounce back. And if you joined Cody and I on the live stream during the game, I was talking about how much of a void that Darius Leonard left and is still out today. But people were able to fill in. You can't have one person step up and fill his role, but you can have multiple people do that. And I think Anthony Walker and Bobby Okereke really stepped up and did that. So the defense was playing well by the end of the game, by all means. I mean, dramatic differences in the Browns, high performance offense in the second half. Our offense is then where my concern goes to, because we kind of started out well and then towards the end just fell apart. And for some reason, it seems like when we're trying to get back into games, we pass the ball. And I know that's traditional kind of NFL, but we're not an offense that I think really needs to lean into that. We need to lean into our run game. And Jonathan Taylor did have some decent runs. So I think we need to keep up that pressure today. But I am a little concerned about our performance from the Browns. And I hope that we can really turn things around today. And then as far as the Titans go, they proved that they're a pretty strong team. They got a week off early, but I mean, they came out and stomped the Bills, who people thought were almost unbeatable. So I think that we have some work to do to catch up to the Titans, but it's totally possible.
Yeah, I think it is. I mean, they're also a game back. They had an early bye week now, kind of a forced early bye week. So that'll be really interesting to see how they come out.
They get no break for the rest of the season. So they're going to get tired towards the end of the stretch, which is when we kind of start to play them. So
yeah, for sure. I mean, yeah, we play them in week 10 and week 12, once on Thursday night even. So that'll be really interesting to see. See what happens down the stretch. Hopefully our bye week doesn't really get changed, because we have a very unfortunate bye week right in the middle of the season.
Right.
No, it's next week. Literally next week is our bye week, isn't it? Yeah. Okay. So not necessarily at the middle of the season, but it definitely helps us out because we go and play the Ravens after that, I believe. So 2 weeks to prepare for that. Okay, so today's weather in Indianapolis. If you guys are not here in Indianapolis, it's kind of cold. I'm not going to be on it. Like, I'm not going to lie there.
It is cold.
I went for a walk this morning, and I was not loving it. High 50s and straight up cloudy. The roof is open. And Jacob, I want to talk to you about the roof being open, because the New Orleans Saints tweeted out some clarification on on fans in the stands this season, and they talked about there are 10 games this season played in dome stadium or closed roof stadiums, and the Colts were like 4 of those games, because every game we've had at home we've had fans in the stands. And it's kind of been a thing where teams are allowed to have fans if they have an open roof stadium, and the Colts have been opening the roof every game. We're not a closed we're not closed up like the Saints are this season. Everything has been open, including today, and this is a perfect day to have the roof closed because it's cold and chilly out. It's cloudy. We don't know what's really going to go on. There might be a possible chance of some rain today. So what do you make? Like, the Saints need to get they need to check all their facts before they just come out saying, oh, their games are in closed. Like, no.
I can see their argument here, because I don't know how much of an effect that our retractable roof makes because it is pretty much enclosed. It's not the entire roof that's retractable. It's like a section over the field that is. I can see their argument, but
right there.
Yeah,
you can see it right there.
Right. So it's not an entire enclosed stadium. So I don't know. I can see their point, but also, like, it's depending on the state. Like, maybe our levels and tests are lower than they are in New Orleans, or Louisiana. So I don't know. They can say what they want. They didn't get their game here, so just forget it. Like, move on. Sorry you don't have fans, but you wouldn't have any fans the way you're playing right now anyway. So
yeah, that makes me That got me today. I'm just like, guys, come on. Jacob, let's talk a little bit about some key matchups this week in the NFL. Obviously, we have the Colts and Bengals, and that'll be essentially the majority of what we talk about in today's pregame show. As I was not prepared, as usual, I'm trying to quickly pull up my matchups here. So Houston at Tennessee, that's a huge divisional matchup.
Yep.
Let's hope Houston can get a win without Bob, goes 2-0 without Bob, and kind of knocks back the Titans. I mean, honestly, Cleveland at Pittsburgh, I think, is a big matchup.
Yeah, I think that one
more so than usual. I feel like this is usually Steelers have this, but I think the Browns, especially how they've been playing, They've got an offense. I mean, we all know the Steelers have a defense, but that's Carolina. They're coming off of a hot streak. I think they're a 3-game winning streak going up against Chicago. Like so they've won every game without Christian McCaffrey, which is very interesting.
Yes.
I've got Mike Davis on my fantasy roster, and he's getting me 20-something points a game. So I love that. Really, I mean, there are some big matchups today, specifically Green Bay versus Tampa Bay, Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady, the 2 oldest quarterbacks in the league, I feel like. Philip Rivers is older, I think. Then I don't even know when Aaron Rodgers came out now. Los Angeles, San Francisco. This was supposed to be a big hyped up matchup on Sunday Night Football. However, we know San Francisco is going through some rough times, so could have been better. But the matchup tomorrow night at 5 p.m. on Fox is Kansas City at Buffalo. That's going to be a good matchup because this will really show if Buffalo is a real contender or not. So some really good games. Jacob, which game other than the Colts game are you most hyped about?
So actually, I'm interested in the Broncos-Patriots matchup because both teams are kind of struggling with injuries and COVID cases for the Patriots. So I'm kind of interested to see how that works out for both of those teams. But yeah, like you mentioned, Texas, Tennessee, that's going to be a huge divisional game to watch there. The Ravens and the Eagles. I'm curious to see what Carson Wentz and the Eagles can do to the Ravens because I can't say proud anymore, fantasy owner of Carson Wentz, and I want to see what direction they're going to move in if he's going to be a reliable starter because every week I've had to pick up a different quarterback. But what's interesting is, so we're in a dynasty league, and I have Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts, currently Ryan Fitzpatrick, and Tua all on my roster at the same time. So I have the 2 starters and the 2 backups if anything falls apart. So I just want clarity out of week 6, I guess. I want clarity at the quarterback position.
That's fair. I guess everybody can't have Josh Allen on their team.
That is fair.
And Justin Herbert. But so let's just talk a little bit more here. Okay, so I do have a question. My trivia question for the week. Everybody get tuned here. Let me find my banner again. So the Colts lead the series against the Bengals 19-12 in their all-time matchup. They've actually played a lot less games than you would think with 2 teams being this close and have a lot of history together. But we also play like every preseason against each other. So that's why it seems like we play each other way more often than we actually do. So 31 games, the Colts lead 19-12, regular season and postseason only. This isn't, like I said, preseason.
Right.
So the question here is, what year was the first matchup between the Colts and the Bengals? What year was the first matchup between the Colts and Bengals? And guys, if you are new to our trivia questions, be sure to drop your comments below to just if you even have a guess as to what was the first game. That would go ahead and just drop your comments below. And we'll pick out a winner. If there's a winner, maybe Jacob might get it right this time. He usually gets my questions wrong, but
this one's I don't know. I've gotten a couple of these right. I got the Dominique Rhodes one.
That's true.
I was terribly off on the passing touchdown one. I have a clarifying question, but I think I'll save it for later if we don't have very many guesses. So
okay, that's fair. So yeah, again, guys, be sure to drop in your guesses or answers in the comments below. And I want to take a quick break here, Jacob, and just mention, hey guys, if you are not liking the Bring the Juice podcast on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, be sure to like and follow their stuff and subscribe on YouTube. Be sure to follow them and subscribe to them everywhere you go. That way they can reach out even more, and you see all their great content throughout the week. They do post a lot. So they always have videos every day and just new content out all the time. So be sure to like, subscribe, follow, do all those things on all 4 social media platforms and just go Colts on that. So Jacob, today's game, 1 p.m. Eastern on Fox. I'm not going to lie. I don't like that it's on Fox. I don't know why I don't like games on Fox. It's just,
I like their graphics this year. Their little score bug and
that's true, I guess.
Stat line
that was from that was from the Super Bowl last year. But
I like it.
I don't know. AFC teams should be on CBS. NFC teams should be on Fox. It's just the way it should be. But it's whatever. I miss the days where the Colts were only allowed to be on CBS. They could never be on Fox. It was actually like in the contract on media. Like it was, I don't know. Back in my day, Jacob.
That's what it's sounding like right now. Because I was like, I don't remember that at all.
Jacob, can you go ahead with some of the transaction reports this week from the Colts?
Absolutely. So we have quite a few moving pieces this week. We first of all signed wide receiver Marcus Johnson to the active roster, which is a huge move. He's shown out in the 2 games that he has appeared in thus far, so big things expected from him. We have also activated defensive tackle Sheldon Day from IR, and as a repercussion, we have waived defensive tackle Eli Anku. So Sheldon Day, we probably get to see what he can do, which will be nice. We've also released safety Ibrahim Campbell. and elevated guard Jake Eldrenkamp and wide receiver DeMichael Harris from the practice squad to the active roster. And it sounds like DeMichael Harris will play today, seeing the inactive so far for the Colts. And then another thing I'd like to mention is this whole COVID false positive scare that we had, because as we all know, Friday we got the notification that there were 4 positive cases from the Colts. They had to close the facility, send everyone home. They got those samples retested, and all were false positives. So everything's okay, good to go there. They reopened the facility later that afternoon. So no worries. Colts are healthy. As far as COVID's concerned, we still have some nagging injuries, but everything looks ready to go for today's matchup.
Yeah, it's good. I was slightly worried yesterday when all this positives came. I was just like, oh no, the Colts, oh no, here it comes. And there was multiple reports, and I'm just like, oh man, that's not good. That does not look good. So glad to see that we had they were all false positives. So that's good. We do have a guess here, Jacob, for our trivia question. The guess is the first Colts Bengals game was in 1979. Sorry, Justin, I like your name, but I don't like your answer. That is incorrect. Keep guessing. Yep, I had to go back and check my notes. I was pretty sure that was wrong. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about the news here. We've got a couple of special guests coming up today, guys. Be sure to keep checking out. We have a great Colts reporter that's going to be coming on. First time on the Bring the Juice podcast's pregame show. He's we've talked to him a bit before, Jacob, but he has never been on this specific stream. Correct. And then we have Jay Stevens coming back. Again, another one that no, he was on last week, wasn't he?
I don't know.
I can't remember now. I can't remember if he actually got on. Man, it's been an entire week. Yeah, that's fine.
He's on top of it.
Yeah, he definitely will let us know. Another great person to talk to. But Jacob, before they get on here, let's go ahead and talk about some of the injury reports for both the Colts and the Bengals.
Yes, absolutely. So the Colts will be without Mo Alley-Cox, Chaz Green, and Darius Leonard today, just announced for that last one there. And those are some big shoes because, Mo Alley-Cox has been playing well. Darius Leonard, we hoped to have had back. He was doubtful entering this game and then officially ruled out. Chaz Green, okay. I mean, we get Anthony Costanzo back, so I'm not too worried about that one. But we also have a couple guys that are questionable that I think are worth watching. Tanico Autry has an ankle and knee injury. He didn't participate Wednesday and Thursday, but was a full participant on Friday, so he's questionable. Justin Houston, who has normally been sitting out for rest, had a hip injury, didn't participate Wednesday, was a full participant Thursday, and then did not practice on Friday, which makes me think that was either for a rest or the injury kind of flared up again. So he's probably going to be maybe on a snap count today. Anthony Costanzo, rib, was a limited participant Wednesday, but full participant Thursday and Friday. So he should be good to go. He was active today. Jordan Wilkins as well with a calf injury. Again, limited participant Wednesday, did not practice Thursday or Friday. He is questionable. And I think that's going to be a big one to watch, honestly, because without Marlon Mack, we have 3 running backs. And with Jordan Wilkins potentially out or limited, we're down with Jonathan Taylor and Naheem Hines. So we're a little limited there. But in good news, Julian Blackmon, who had a groin injury kind of nagging in the Browns game, he's good to go for today. Jacob Eason, which I think was one of those false positive COVID tests, did not participate Friday, obviously, but he's good to go. And then Trey Burton and T.Y. Hilton just sat out for rest, so they will be good to go as well. And if you bear with me for a second, I will have the inactive list here. So quarterback Jacob Eason inactive, wide receivers Therese Fountain and Desmond Patton inactive, Chaz Green, like I mentioned, inactive, Darius Leonard's out, Molly Cox, and then Rondell Carter, defensive end, is also inactive today. So we'll get to see DeMichael Harris, like I mentioned, off the practice squad and some other guys filling in.
Yeah, it seems like the injury list just continues to get larger and larger. So real quick, while our first guest is finishing up here, we have a couple more guesses here, Jacob. I do like one of these, Gavin. Your guess is definitely not right. 1756 was definitely not the first matchup.
You're in the ballpark.
I first thought it said 1956, and I realized it said 1756. It
was a typo. We'll go with that.
Jacob, do you have a guess for us?
So I have a clarifying question.
Clarifying question. Go ahead.
Where were we located at the time?
Baltimore.
Okay, so
This is
I mean, I
cold
don't
for
I
the
don't know
Bengals.
the exact I don't know the exact date when we transferred over to Indianapolis, but that at least helps me a little bit.
It was 84.
Come back to me. Come back to
Okay.
me. I think I
Well,
got it.
we do have a couple correct answers in our stream here. So Devin was the first one. 1970 was the first matchup. Harper, 1970 was the first matchup. And that was correct, actually,
Ooh,
guys.
okay.
1970 was the first matchup. It was the AFC divisional playoff game. Our first matchup against the Bengals was in the playoffs. Only 2 playoff games between the Colts and Bengals. The other one was in 2015 in the wild card round. So
Gotcha.
fairly
I was gonna
interesting.
go like 1960, so I wouldn't have been too far off, but I wouldn't have been
Not too
right.
far, but the 1979 question would have been more accurate than 1960. So, all right. So, Jacob, are you ready for our first guest today?
I am ready. Let's go.
All right, guys. Coming from his car because he's driving to the game right now. So hopefully he's being safe on Bluetooth. We have Kevin Bowen. Kevin, how are you doing today?
Doing great, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, no, thanks again for coming on. We definitely love having you on the show because you give us some insight. The last time we had you on, it was breaking news that Rocky Sin was not going to play due to an illness. So, Kevin, I have to ask you, do you have any more like breaking news right before the game starts today?
I think, thankfully, I do not, outside of the inactive list you guys just mentioned. So, yeah, Friday morning had some breaking news. Last time we chatted, some breaking news, but I'm pretty content when there's no breaking news less than an hour before kickoff.
Yeah, for sure. And guys, if you don't know who Kevin Bowen is, Kevin Bowen is on 1070 The Fan. So if you like what he says, definitely go check out his show as well. So Kevin, we have a couple questions for you. We want to keep it short and simple since I know you got to get to the game and get to doing your real job, not talking to us. So my first question here, there have been a lot of talks about Phillip Rivers and the way he is playing and whether he finishes the season, mostly from fans and reporters and media. Could you see a change happen if Phillip continues to struggle like he did last week? And if so, do they look closer at Jacoby? Do they look at Jacob Eason, or do they find somebody with a trade partner?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I'd be surprised if they made a change. And I'm speaking from the Colts' behalf of like what I think they would do, not necessarily what I would do.
Yeah.
I really think it would take 2 bad games. I think when we look at last week, it was an awful half. He really didn't play that poorly in the first half at all. I feel like we kind of forget how bad the defense played in the first half. But I think it would take 2 bad games that would result in losses. I think that's something else to keep in mind. Just because I can't see the Colts, slamming that door shut on him. And if they did, I think they would go to Brissett before Eason, as long as they still are in playoff contention, which, I fully expect this team to win their next 2 games. That would place them at 5-2. You're going to be mathematically involved in a playoff race until what? Late December, even if the wheels really kind of fell off. So, as much as I think fans, at least seems like to me, they want Rivers benched and whatnot, I just can't see the Colts making that move unless it really got ugly for multiple games that resulted in losses.
Yeah. Jacob?
Yeah, so I guess my question for you is, what are some keys to the game? After that Browns game, like you mentioned, it wasn't necessarily a bad game, just a bad half from both sides of the ball. Honestly, defense kind of struggled early, offense late. What are some keys that you're watching for in this game?
Well, I think the return of Anthony Costanzo is absolutely paramount. Going against a really banged-up defensive line for Cincinnati that has struggled against the run. DJ Reader, who I think a lot of us will remember from Houston, he was kind of a big free agent acquisition for him this offseason. He gets hurt last week. So ground and pound would be the name of the game for me. It seemed like the staff was really pleased with how Jonathan Taylor ran it last week. So I kind of see a breakout game potentially for Jonathan Taylor today. So I think that's the big focus offensively. Obviously, you got to finish off drives better.
Right.
I mean, when you look at this offense, they're actually moving it at a decent clip, and they're scoring it at a decent clip. It's just the inability to, convert in the red zone especially. But even in kind of that outside of the red zone, just creating a chunk play here or there, which maybe you don't get into these, confined, shorter areas of the field where you've struggled red zone wise. So I think that's the biggest key for me offensively. On the flip side, I mean, this run defense continues to be outstanding for the Colts. I think it's the best aspect of this football team right now, non-special teams division. And when I look at Cincinnati as a whole and think of a rookie quarterback they've struggled in pass protection, you got to think Joe Mixon will again be heavily involved. So I think just making sure Mixon doesn't do anything crazy. I know Frank Reich really likes him. Frank Reich thought in that 2017 draft, Mixon was the best running back coming out that year. So the Colts really think highly of him, and I think he's probably their most talented player offensively. So I think just making sure he doesn't go off is probably my biggest key defensively.
Yeah, no, I completely agree there. I'm definitely going to touch up on that here in a little bit with our next guest, actually. But Kevin, I have one more question for you. With all the injuries that are starting to pile up as we get into week 6 now, who do you expect to really step up and make a huge difference coming off of the bench?
Yeah, I was really pleased with Anthony Walker and Bobby Okereke last week in place of Darius Leonard. I thought both of those guys played pretty good football. Okereke, you really deserved that interception there in the second half, or just the coverage he had in the first half, and guys just playing hero ball against him. I'm trying to think of the other injuries. I guess without Mo Alley-Cox, Trey Burton was pretty heavily targeted last week. I think he'll be a factor again as well. In this offense, I thought it was interesting to see Reese Fountain as a healthy scratch and Desmond Patman not getting the call-up. DeMichael Harris, who is a smaller slot kind of undrafted free agent wideout, gets the call-up there. Had a few moments in camp. I'm not expecting, a huge role for him offensively. Right. Because I think Marcus Johnson still takes the brunt of those number 3 wideout reps. But, I would say Burton kind of for Alley-Cox. And then those linebackers for Leonard, and I think those are the only real big-name guys on the inactive list. Obviously, Costanzo playing, Jordan Wilkins was iffy, he's playing, Danico Autry was iffy as well, and he's playing. So what that injury list will look like on Wednesday, not as bad as we get ready for kickoff.
Absolutely. And then one last thing here. What is your game pick for today?
Yeah, I'm taking the Colts 27-17. So I know a lot of people out there are curious about the touchdown line. I think it's 7.5 last I saw. Colts favored. Yep. So, I'm going to go 27-17. I think this team has had their one clunker of the year, and they have bounced back fairly well. It certainly did that earlier this year against Minnesota at home. So I think being back at home, considering how banged up Cincinnati is in their D-line, like I said, their O-line has struggled. You've got to blitz Burrow. I think that's what you saw Baltimore do last week. Baltimore had 7 sacks. 5 of them were from defensive backs, which just goes to show you how many, how much blitzing and pressure they got. Baker Mayfield had way too much time early in the first half last week. So I think if the Colts can do that, play from ahead, I think they win by 2 scores.
That's fair. I really, really hope that's the case today. We definitely need to get back into our winning ways and get a win here. So Kevin, thanks again for jumping on the show for a couple minutes and talking to us about the Colts today. Do you have any last minute comments here?
No, I just am happy that we're playing football today. I know there's a few uneasy moments early Friday morning, so glad to see this 1 p.m. kickoff and a little bye week next week, and then the gauntlet starts for the Colts in November with one of the tougher schedules you're going to see really in the entire NFL.
Yeah, well, thanks for jumping on here again, Kevin, and we'll talk to you soon, man.
Yeah, thanks for having me, guys. Have a great show.
Thanks. All right, Jacob, always appreciate when Kevin comes on the show. He's always got really good insight. Yeah. So, okay, let's talk. We didn't really get to talk about fantasy football yet. So, Jacob,
we have not.
Let's talk a little bit about let's talk about some fantasy football here today right now.
All right.
So first of all, guys, if you have any fantasy football questions, be sure to drop it in the comments. We will definitely answer as many fantasy football questions as possible. So let's talk the rookie versus the vet, Joe Burrow versus Phillip Rivers. Who do you got? Or who do you start if you have these two?
So I think I'm going to put more stock in the Colts defense than I am in the Bengals defense. So I think I start Phillip Rivers because, like Kevin was saying, the Bengals have poor pass protection. They're going to have to rely on Joe Mixon, but our run defense is solid. So I think that's going to force Joe Burrow and the Bengals offense some hiccups there. And I think the Colts are going to generate a lot of sacks and some negative yardage play. So I think I would have to go between these two. I'd have to go Phillip Rivers.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean,
I don't know about that one.
I don't really feel confident in either one, but if you look at the defense they're playing against, I think I like our secondary much more than I like the Bengals secondary. So
I guess let's talk about a different matchup here where I think this is where you actually have starting material here. Jonathan Taylor or Joe Mixon?
It's got to be Joe Mixon. And I say that because I think they're going to run the ball more, but also because I have Jonathan Taylor on one of my fantasy teams, and he has not been a reliable starter for me. And maybe that's just my team construction, but he's just not generating the type of points that we thought he would. And their Colts run game isn't bad, but it could be much, much better than what it is. So maybe this is the game, like Kevin said, where they turn things around, force JT to make the big plays and to run the ball more. That's what I'd love them to see, but until that's shown, I think I got to go Joe Mixon.
Okay. And then there's one more question on this list in regards to today's game. AJ Green, Tyler Boyd, or T. Higgins. I have two of these. Who would you start? Like, you have one option and really to throw in your flex. Let's be honest. This is
not a starting wide receiver. I'd have to go Tyler Boyd just because he's been consistent with that offense. AJ Green, I think, is just coming back from injury, if I'm right, and his name has been floated around as a trade bait there. So, and then T. Higgins is still raw. He's a rookie. If he can start connecting with Joe Burrow, I think potentially later in the season he's got more value. But as it stands, I think I got to go Tyler Boyd.
That's fair. I know T. Higgins has done. He gets average. I mean, like 11, 12 points a game.
I think that's what he's averaging. Or well, that's what he's supposed to projected. But
yeah. So we do have a fan question here. Deshaun Watson or Ryan Tannehill today. They are going against each other today. Tennessee versus Houston. I
had to think about that one.
I almost got to say Deshaun.
I was going to say Tannehill. I was going to say Tannehill because of his weapons. Like, he's got A.J. Brown. I haven't heard anything about Corey Davis, but that offense is just chugging along right now, like full steam ahead, where I think Watson, yes, they won last week, but I think they're still trying to find reliable targets. And, if you look at Tennessee, they got Johnny Smith, A.J. Brown, Adam Humphries was stepping up. Corey Davis, once he gets back, I mean, that offense is scary. So I think I got to roll with Tannehill. And I don't think Texans can really put up a fight defensively. I don't know if the Tennessee Titans can put up a fight defensively, but
I think this comes down to the defense. I think the Titans defense is slightly better than the Texans defense. Yeah. I would definitely lean Tannehill also. He's got more weapons. I mean, Deshaun Watson literally has like an old used Band-Aid on as a running back and like no wide receivers that stay healthy throughout the season. So I would definitely go Tannehill over Deshaun Watson, which kills me to say that because Deshaun is such a better quarterback than Ryan Tannehill.
Right. And it's no fault of him. It's just because half of the quarterback's game is their weapons. If they don't have good wide receivers, then, I mean, they're not going to get any yardage if they're not going to catch it or stuff like that. And then they're going to have to run the ball. And yeah. So I would go Tannehill.
Yeah. Okay. So before we move any further, we have our next guest. Also looks like he is in his car and being safe. So Jay Stevens is coming on. Good friend of ours. Jay, I feel like I just talked to you a couple days ago, and it might be because I just listened to your podcast episode with me on there like twice while blowing leaves in my backyard. How are you doing, Jay?
I'm doing well. Unfortunately, I'm not like Kevin Bowen in my car going to the game, but I am in my car, like you said, being safe. Happy to be back. Jacob, I was not on last week. There were some things that happened where I wasn't able to come on.
See, but I almost said he wasn't on, but I was like, maybe he was.
So being like the host of the show, I can see the backstage, and I kept seeing Jay coming in and out, and I was like, oh, maybe he's going to be on, and then he would cut out, and I'm like, oh, just kidding. No, he's not. We had Cody on last week. That's
Yep,
Yeah.
you did.
right. Okay. So
Come
Jay,
on, buddy, get with it.
yeah, I'm sorry, guys. It's been a long week. I feel like last week happened like 4 weeks ago. Like
That's fair.
So let's talk about our X factors for today's game. Jay, I feel like we don't usually talk X factors with you at this point because usually we are much further in our show by the time you get on here. But you get to pick an X factor today. So today I will start. My X factor today, and again, history, guys. My X factor usually balls out in that game. My X factor for today is DeForest Buckner in that Colts defensive line. I'm not super worried about Joe Burrow, but I'm more worried about Joe Mixon. I think if they can stop Joe Mixon, this is going to be an easy win for the Colts today.
Sure. I think that's fair.
So, Jacob, who do you have as your X factor today?
All right, so my X factor is Phillip Rivers because honestly, I feel like whether our offense succeeding or failing kind of relies on his ability to make smart throws and to accurately place the ball, but also it's like Phillip Rivers / offensive play calling because it's almost like we need to run the ball more and not put so much pressure on him and force him into those throws. So it's kind of a mixture of the two, but I'm going to lean more Phillip Rivers because ultimately he's the one throwing the ball and he's the one making those decisions.
All right, and then Jay.
This is funny. I'm only laughing because Jacob said exactly what I was going to say. Kevin Bowen had my same game prediction, so I have nothing to say at all. I'll go a different route. Jonathan Taylor. I was going to go Phillip Rivers and talk about the same play calling issues, personnel groupings that the Colts have had issues with throughout the season. But Jonathan Taylor, this can literally be a game where he breaks out. Gets the fantasy points that Jacob you're looking for. I'm looking for in one of my leagues. But if he finds a way to read and make quicker decisions than he did in college, he's shown glimpses of doing it in the NFL. But it's so much harder when you're going up against guys that are as strong as you or stronger, as fast as you or faster in the pro game versus college. I think Jonathan Taylor, this is going to be a big game for him, and I think that he has the shot, and he will succeed in working a whole lot better and just really reading and reacting quicker at a pro rate than he has been.
Right. Absolutely.
So we have a couple X factors that fans have put in here.
Nice.
Turnovers. It's a big X factor.
Okay.
And run the damn ball, guys.
Yep.
And stop checking out of the run to the pass.
Yes.
I would agree with
100%.
both of them.
Yeah.
100%. I would agree with both of those guys. So good one there.
Hey, Justin.
Yep.
I know I drop bombshells on you every time I'm on. It seems like when we're together. This one's actually in our favor, so it's nothing like Trump and Biden presidential stuff. This is a little stat that I put together quickly today about Joe Burrow and how often he's been sacked and the offensive line issues of the Bengals. So last season, Jameis Winston was sacked 47 times. Kyler Murray was sacked 48 times, and they all played 16 games. Phillip Rivers, everybody got on and knocked the Chargers offensive line, and I've talked about it numerous times on my show about how bad the Chargers offensive line was last year, but he was only sacked 34 times. Through 5 games, Joe Burrow has been sacked 22 times, most in the league, and I think it's been 155 sack yards that have been lost due to sacks this year. So, and I also heard Kevin Bowen brought up a good number. The Ravens had 7 sacks last week against the Bengals, 5 against the DBs. I did not know that. But one thing I think that Colts can be utilized, and that will be in their favor, still try and rush 4. If you need to start blitzing, do it. But your defensive line is too good. The O-line of the Bengals is way too bad that you can get Burrow off of his spot by simply rushing 4. Right. And I just think that when you think about 22 sacks through 5 games, how atrocious that is. I thought Jameis Winston, 47, Kyler Murray was 48 was bad through 16. I had no idea your offensive line could be that bad in the NFL, but the Bengals are just showing us how bad they really are.
Yeah, true. It's so sad. I'm only saying this, it's so sad because the Bengals are like my second team that I root for. And
That's
I
a
always,
sad line. That's sad, man.
always
That's
have,
really
I
sad.
know, I know.
It is.
It just shows you how much like of a true fan I really stick to one. I don't just jump from good team to good team. I'd rather root for the bad team. But as you can see, I'm all Colts, and Colts are always my favorite over the Bengals whenever this comes on. I should also probably pay attention. Kevin Bowen is not still on the phone. Jay Stevens is on the show. I just realized that. Sorry, guys. You are not Kevin Bowen. You are Jay Stevens. God, I am so bad at producing shows, Jacob. This is great. It's all great, guys. Okay, so let's talk. Let's talk about our keys to the game. I know we asked Kevin Bowen about our keys to the game. Jacob, what are the 3 keys to the game?
Yeah,
Today?
so I'm kind of similar to Kevin Bowen. I have a couple that are different, but for me, it starts with smart play calling. I feel like have gotten away from our identity the past few weeks, and it seems like when we need to drive down the field towards the end of games and score points, we resort to throwing the ball, which I understand is a football philosophy. Like that's how you get down the field and chunk plays. But when you have a running back like Jonathan Taylor, like Naheem Hines, like Jordan Wilkins, and our offensive line, I just wish we would run the ball more. And I think that's where we're really going to start to see this Colts offense thrive. And we've been able to do it against teams, and then for some odd reason, I just seem like we turn away from that, and I'm not entirely clear why. And I don't know if it's Rivers opting out, if it's the offensive coordinators are like, yeah, we need to get Rivers involved. Like I don't know. As long as we're winning, I don't think anyone's going to care how it's done as long as we start winning. And the more Rivers throws, the more likely he is to throw a bad pass. We saw, I mean, Cody and I on the live broadcast last week were talking about every time he throws the ball, it looks so slow, and every time it looks like it's going to get picked off, and that makes me nervous. Like every time he throws the ball, and the dude can't get out of the pocket. Like, so I'm tangents here, but we need to recenter and analyze really what our strengths are again and execute that game plan the entire game. Don't go away from it just because we're down by 7 or down by 10. Like, just keep running the ball. I think that's going to be the key to the success. And that's also my second key to the game is running the ball. Every week I'm going to have run the ball in here until we start doing it. So, and I think Costanzo back helps. Colts right now are 20th in rushing offense and 18th in passing offense, 23rd in total offense. So we have marginal, like we have plenty of room to go up, but it all starts with running for me. So, and then my final key is like what Kevin Bowen said, finish off drives. It was proven last week, we have to score touchdowns to stay in games and outpace the opponent. We can't just rely on blankenship and getting to the red zone, but not finishing. Like we were terrible on third down, terrible in the red zone last week. We have to turn that around or we aren't going to win very many of these games going up against the Ravens, the Titans, the Packers, what have you. Yeah, we're currently 27th in third down percentage and 28th in passing touchdowns, 19th in rushing touchdowns. So we need to, again, reevaluate our offense, get the ball running again, and start converting on third downs. I mean, we went, the first like 4 or 5, well, it's probably closer to 4 weeks without a third and out. And then since then, it's just kind of been a downhill streak. So we gotta finish off drives here and really capitalize on third down.
Yeah, no, for sure. Guys, this is a well, it's kind of football related. What are you guys drinking for the game today? Brandon Smith brings up a great question. I am unfortunately, I usually drink Narragansett lagers. Those are my favorite. But I'm out. So that's very sad. I don't know, probably like a Coke Zero, maybe mix some rum in there. But
I have a 2-liter of Diet Mountain Dew in the fridge. That's probably what I'll finish off during the game.
I have to clean today, so I also need to and cook. So we'll see what happens here. Jay, I mean, you're in the car, so hopefully you're drinking nothing during the game. But
no, not at all, not at all. No, I have to get back on my water intake. I've had a lot more pop lately than normal, so I've just been having like bottles of H2O, just downing those the whole time. Hopefully the game goes as I think it will. So I don't start throwing them when they're half full, throwing them around my apartment due to out of frustration. But it's all H2O. I got to get back on this healthy kick. I was good, got off it again, and I got to get back on it.
Yeah, I need to do the same. It's been bad. Okay, wearing face masks at work all the time pulls on your ears and gives you more headaches. And if you drink water, it's supposed to help prevent headaches and stuff. Anyways, we digress. Let's before we lose all of our following here and really screw up Cody and Derek, let's talk about the Colts. Okay, so let's talk about bold predictions today. Jacob, why don't you go ahead and start?
Yeah, so my bold predictions for today. First for the Bengals, I think Joe Burrow throws 2 touchdown passes and 1 interception. So far he's 6 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. So it's
But
kind
you
of
start Philip Rivers over Joe Burrow, even though he throws 2 touchdowns.
yeah. I
Rivers
don't think it's
doesn't even
going to
throw
happen,
2.
but
Rivers
this
doesn't
is a
even throw
bold
2.
prediction. This is a
Oh,
bold
oh,
prediction.
Okay.
So my standard I'm safe prediction is he probably throws 1 touchdown pass and 1 interception. But
I forget
I'm being
your
bold.
I forget
so-
your bold predictions aren't always like actual things that happen. I forget about that sometimes.
Well, at least they're not safe bold predictions. All right.
Okay.
All right.
I went bold today. Go ahead.
I digress.
Continue.
For the Colts, I think the defense snags 2 turnovers, and our defense special teams combo scores more points than our offense.
I can see that.
Jacob, that's normal.
That's normal.
Well,
Like,
I know, but
I don't mean to be that guy, but that's normal. Like a regular game, the special team scores more than the offense does.
Okay, we'll take out the
That's
special
true.
teams. The defense will score more points than our
defense
offense.
scores more. Okay. I mean, that happened against the Vikings. So
It did.
True.
I'm
Already
banking on
happened.
Blankenship just having to kick every single time we get to the red zone because
wait,
we can't
you-
do anything.
you just got on me about how your bold predictions aren't safe predictions, but you okay.
Well,
Okay,
I'm changing
Jacob.
things up
Okay.
today. I got to
Okay.
get some wins here soon. I don't think I've had a single bold prediction go right so far this season.
That's true.
So
All right, so my bold predictions here today. I think Joe Burrow throws for 250 plus yards today. That's
Are you smoking?
Oh, you should have seen what he had before he changed it. He
Oh my
changed it.
Goodness.
I did not change that. I always said 250
Yeah.
for him.
Oh, well, okay. You always said 250, but you said Joe Burrow torches the Colts secondary. That was the
250
line.
still, but
That was
yeah,
the
that
line.
was. I think Joe Burrow gets 250 plus yards today passing. I don't know to which receiver, but he will. I'm just going to call it. That's a bold prediction. And then also, for the Colts, I say Philip Rivers throws 0 interceptions and Jonathan Taylor gets 2 touchdowns, 2 total touchdowns, whether that's passing or receiving or rushing. I guess I would love
he
to
could
see
get
him
a
throw-
passing touchdown.
Yeah, he could get a
That'd
passing
be awesome.
touchdown. That'd be really cool. So that's what I got. Philip Rivers, 0 interceptions. Jonathan Taylor, 2 touchdowns.
Yep.
Wow. Jay, Jacob, Justin, too many J names. Jay, what are your bold predictions for the game today?
All right, so for the Bengals, this is a negative for them because I don't think they'll play well at all. I think Joe Mixon has less than 50 rushing yards. Just the way that it goes with their old line, but I think our defense is hungry. After playing a tale of 2 halves last week, first half really got exploited. Second half they turned it on. I think that's going to be them the entire game. Joe Mixon has less than 50 rushing yards. And then on the offensive side of the ball, running back for the Colts, I got Jonathan Taylor, 150 rushing yards, 2 rushing touchdowns.
Nice.
Like I said earlier, I do believe he can turn it on this weekend. Kind of the perfect storm. And I just think this is going to be just him, just his coming out party. Not just, we know how good he can be, but just the rest of the league putting them on notice like, hey, the Colts turned it around. Even though it was against the Bengals, their running game started showing flashes of greatness, and that other people down the road should be scared, including the Ravens, because I know the Ravens are going to be chopping at the bit saying, oh, they can't run the ball. This is going to help us out. They have Philip Rivers. He has a weird throwing motion with no velocity. But if you get a running game going, Philip Rivers will turn into a quarterback that excels off the play action pass, which really he hasn't been able to do very much this season.
Yeah,
Yep.
I mean, you're not wrong. Okay, so there's a couple of bold predictions here that I do like that I want to show you guys from the fans. Taylor rushes for 200 yards. Grover Stewart gets 2 sacks. Blankenship throws a touchdown pass on a fake field goal. This would be the game.
If we're at that point, then we're having a good game.
Yeah, we are.
This would be the time. I mean, Blankenship always kicks field goals, so like every game he has like 4.
I think it'd be weird if he threw the touchdown pass though, because the long snap or the holder would have to get it to him, or it'd have to be like a direct snap.
Well, you pitch it off to him. He comes around the side, pops it.
Don't
in.
they have guys normally going after the kicker though?
I mean, yeah.
I don't know.
Bold
I mean, I think it'd
prediction,
be
Jacob.
cool. I think
Bold
the
prediction.
holder would be more likely to throw a touchdown pass, but okay.
I like this one again from Brandon Smith. Hilton, 150 plus yards.
I don't trust
It
him.
happened.
I don't trust him at all. I don't.
I mean, I don't either, but it could happen.
Gavin has
could.
another one, 170 yards. So
Oh.
yeah.
Okay.
Push by 20. Okay.
And this one, Harper. I don't see this one happening.
Oh, wow.
But 4 touchdowns from Phillip Rivers, throwing at least 2 of them to his running backs. So all good ones. I don't see any of those happening, but I would love to see all of them happen. Literally,
Yes,
all of them would be
that would be
great
spectacular.
because of Blankenship's throwing a touchdown pass. Taylor has 200 yards. Phillip Rivers throws for 4 touchdowns. And Hilton has 170 yards. That would be a fantastic. I would be ecstatic at the end of today.
Yep.
All right. So, guys, 25 minutes until kickoff. Let's just talk about our final scores here. So let's do our game picks. Today's game at 1 p.m. on Fox, Colts versus Bengals. Jacob, who do you get? Well, first, hold on. Sorry. Jacob, you are 2-3 this year. I am 2-3 this year. Jay, you are 2-2 because you didn't join last week's show.
Oh, thanks. I appreciate that.
Yeah,
I was going to add my pick in, but since not, no, I'll be fine.
Wait,
I'll
who?
no. You're in charge. No. We ain't going to change it. I'll take my 500 record. Thank you, Justin. I appreciate it.
You picked the Colts last week, didn't you?
Hey, I'm keeping that to myself. I'm not letting
You know
my
what?
pick get out.
No, I saw you on Tally Site. You were also 2-3.
And that was the first week I added my Colts pick to the graphic because normally I just put the ones that I put on my podcast. So I was like, wait, I do host a podcast for the Colts. I'll put that there as well. And then, of course, you see it. Yeah, that's it.
So we're all 2-3. Not
Why
great.
you had to do him like that?
Not great, but
That's terrible.
all right, Jacob.
All right.
Oh my
so
God. All right, Jacob, who do you got?
this is the week. This is the week we all get back to 500. So I'm going to take the Colts 23-17.
23-17. Okay. And just throw it out there. We talked about this with Kevin. The Colts have a 7.5 point favorite over the Bengals today. The over under is 46.5 points. For all of you bettors that make picks based off of that, I this week did not. I actually went high scoring. I'm taking the Colts 31-24. So technically, what the Bengals? If you bet on the Bengals on the over or the
Money line?
No, not the money. The money line. Is it the money line?
I have no idea.
If you're going straight up, it's the money line.
Okay. Well, no. If you pick the Bengals at 7.5 points, then you win off of my pick. Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. Okay, I know you're talking about.
We only win by 7. So yeah, I picked the Colts 31-24. Jay, what do you got?
I got the Colts 27-17, just like Kevin Bowen. I actually figured that out on the way when I was like, wait, I gotta pick a game score because normally I don't do this. And it was kind of like I believe the Colts will score 3 touchdowns. I think Rodrigo gets 2 field goals. That's my math there. I do think, just like the Vikings, I think that you're going to find Joe Mixon gets a touchdown on the ground. Joe Burrow scores through the air, and then he'll get a field goal at some point. But yeah, I just don't think our team gets up. The Colts give up 20 points this week at all. 27-17. Let's get to 500 together.
Yep.
All 3 of us on the right track.
500. That's what we want.
That sounds bad to be happy to be 500, man.
At least our team isn't battling for 500.
Yeah, that's true. Let's hope the team gets to 4-2 today, guys. Man, so okay, just throwing some out here. Let's see. Brandon says 34-17 Colts. Let's see. 21-10 Colts, 27-13 Colts, 28-10. I assume that's also the Colts, 26-17, 28-10. So it's a consensus. Colts are winning today. That's all there is to it. Cody, if you're listening to us, drop your pick in. I want to know what you pick. But let's see you go 1-1, hopefully. Guys, we're 20 minutes out from kickoff. Got anything else for everybody? No? All right, Jay, thanks again so much for coming on to the show again. We'll definitely see you again next week.
Yep.
Jacob. Yeah, we got. Yeah,
you're
Jay.
stuck with me. Stuck with me.
I'm stuck with him for like another 5 minutes, so we'll see.
See you
all
guys.
right,
I'm
Jay, have a good one, man.
Yes, sir.
All right. Man, Jacob, I think for the first time we've actually covered all of our topics in conversations well before the show's even over. This is
we are figuring this out.
We are figuring this out. production and all. And again, I did not change the banner, so that's cool. Guys, again, please subscribe to the Bring the Juice podcast on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Be sure to help out Cody and Derek as they continue to publish lots of Colts content throughout the week.
Yeah.
You guys will not be disappointed. They do a lot of giveaways and everything, and part of that is to subscribe and like and follow them.
Yeah.
So be sure to do that and win some free Colts stuff, guys. I mean, it's all for you guys.
Yeah.
So,
and honestly, you're not going to get like that kind of daily coverage anywhere else. Like Cody and Derek are on top of it, cranking stuff pre-game, post-game, during the game, next day, all during the week, cranking it out. You're not going to get that anywhere else.
Yeah. Okay. So Jacob, I really don't have anything. I've got some fantasy lineup stuff that I've got to figure out. So, I think this episode's done. So be sure to continue to check out.
Time to
go
chill and get ready for the game.
Yeah, guys. Once again, please subscribe to the Bring the Juice podcast. And yeah, go Colts.